After my family went bankrupt, I sold myself to Jaden Jiang, the heir to the Jiang fortune. Jaden was a man of intense desires. Our nightly routine was long, frequent, and rough, always leaving me overwhelmed. I spent 2 years with him, praying every day for an escape from that gilded cage. Then, finally, his first love returned to the country. The moment she shed a tear, Jaden went on a bidding spree, dropping $500 million on a sapphire at an auction just to make her smile. I was so mad I could have stomped my feet raw. After all, I'd spent 2 years warming his bed just to pay off a measly $50 million of my family's debt. In a fit of anger, I found out I was pregnant, packed my bags, and ran, planning to hide from him for the rest of my life. But 4 months later, as I was buying a roasted sweet potato from a street vendor, Jaden appeared out of nowhere. His reddened eyes scanned my flat stomach, and his voice trembled slightly. "Luna, where's our baby? What did you do to him?" Jaden Jiang had been my sworn enemy since we were kids. Freshman year of high school, I wrote a love letter to the campus heartthrob. Jaden reported me to the dean for inappropriate relations, getting me stuck with writing a 5,000-word apology essay. I cried as I wrote, my hand aching. Meanwhile, he leaned lazily against my desk with a punchable grin. "Luna, the dean told me to supervise you. You're not going home until you're finished." Sophomore year, the heartthrob and I were secretly practicing kissing in the woods behind the school. Jaden sent a photo straight to my dad's phone. My dad bullied the guy into transferring schools. And just like that, my first love was over. Back then, I hated Jaden with a passion. I never, ever would have imagined that one day I'd end up in his bed, completely at his mercy. Just like now. The giant mirror on the ceiling reflected my flushed face. I was too ashamed to look, squeezing my eyes shut. Jaden wasn't happy about that. "Be good. Open them." The next second, the force of his thrusts suddenly intensified. A broken moan escaped my lips, and I had no choice but to open my eyes and beg, "Slow down." Jaden seemed not to hear me, pressing his hand cruelly against my lower abdomen. His voice was husky and teasing. "You're so tight. One push and I'm right there." I wanted to cry but had no tears left. Was that my fault? Wasn't it his fault for being so damn gifted? 2 hours later, everything fell silent. My body was sore all over, and I was too exhausted to even open my eyes. A moment later, Jaden's phone rang, shattering the peace. I don't know what was said on the other end. All I know is that Jaden's expression suddenly turned grim, his voice tight. "Don't worry, I'm on my way." Then he threw on his clothes and rushed out. Lying in bed, I was suddenly hit with an overwhelming sense of loss. It was the first time Jaden hadn't held me after we were done. My sleepiness vanished completely. After a long while, my phone buzzed with a new message. I listlessly opened it. It was from my other sworn enemy, Mandy. "Luna, Jaden's one true love is back. Chloe is a debutante from an old money family, not to mention a famous violinist. She's elegant, graceful, and classy. You're just the girl who warms his bed. How could you possibly compare? Hee, your good days are numbered. I can't wait to see how spectacularly you crash and burn." My fingers trembled as I held the phone. My face went pale as I clicked on the photo Mandy had sent. In a hospital room, Chloe was leaning against her pillows, speaking with a gentle expression. Jaden sat in a chair beside her, smiling as he responded, peeling a bright orange and handing it to her. The atmosphere was perfectly harmonious. It's no wonder he left in such a hurry, I thought with a pang of bitterness. Chloe was sick in the hospital. Chloe was Jaden's first love. I knew all about how he'd spent millions creating a rose garden just to have the perfect place to ask her out. They broke up later when Chloe moved abroad. Jaden never got over her and hadn't dated anyone since. And I only managed to climb into his bed after my family went bankrupt because I bear a slight resemblance to her. Otherwise, given how much he hated me, why would he have ever kept me around, let alone paid off my family's $600 million debt. I stared at the photo in silence for a long time. My heart felt like it was soaking in lemon juice, sour and bitter. I didn't want to admit it, but I think I was falling for Jayden. Maybe it started when I'd wake up from a nightmare and he'd hold me, whispering soft reassurances. Maybe it was the time I got sick and he dropped a business deal to fly back from overseas overnight. Or maybe it was even earlier, when my creditors had me dangling from a rooftop, threatening to throw me off if I didn't pay, and Jayden descended like a knight in shining armor to save me with a check for $600 million. But all the good things he did for me weren't because he loved me. It was just because I looked like Chloe. Once he and Chloe got their happy ending, what was going to happen to me? My face fell, and I sourly wiped away a tear. But as heartbroken as I would never let Mandy see me sweat. Whatever happens between Jayden and me, at least I got to enjoy his amazing body for 2 years. I'd call that a win. Not like you. You've confessed your love to him 32 times since you were 16, and he's shot you down every single time. If we're talking pathetic, you're the biggest simp I know. Mandy flew into a rage, sending me a voice message laced with curses. I ignored it and blocked her account. When Jayden came back the next day, I was engrossed in a TV show and didn't even glance his way. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw our housekeeper, Mrs. Peterson, whispering to him. Then, Jayden's gaze on me grew thoughtful. He sauntered over, sat down beside me, and wrapped an arm around my waist. His tone was playful. "Luna, are you jealous?" I knew instantly that Mrs. Peterson had snitched on me. Earlier that afternoon, she'd seen me staring blankly at the photo of him and Chloe and naturally assumed my day-long gloom was because of jealousy. Jayden must have been in a good mood, probably because things were going well with Chloe. He was smiling as he said to me, "Chloe and I are actually. You don't have to explain anything to me." The last thing I wanted to hear was their touching love story, so I cut him off immediately. "Jayden, if you like Chloe, that's your business. It has nothing to do with me. We're just a creditor and a debtor. Nothing more. I'm not jealous. Besides, you're not the one I like. My heart belongs to someone else. As soon as I pay off my family's debt to you, I'm going to find him." I couldn't let Jayden know I liked him. I was terrified he would mock me, a mere bed warmer getting ideas above her station. I would never give him the chance to ridicule or laugh at me. At my words, the smile vanished from Jayden's face. He stared at me, his eyes dark, his voice unusually cold. "Luna, your family owes me $600 million. You work off $25 million a year. That's 24 years. Are you sure that after 2 decades, when your youth is gone, Ethan will still want you?" Ethan was my high school heartthrob. To be honest, after 10 years, I'd completely forgotten about him. But since Jayden assumed it was him, I didn't deny it and went along with it. I do like Ethan. Even if he doesn't want me, I still like him. I'll get a job and support him if I have to. What's it to you? Jayden's lips pressed into a thin, hard line. He let out a cold laugh. Fine. Of course, it's fine. If you want to be a sugar mama, what the hell do I care? With that, he stormed out of the house. He didn't come home for an entire week. Mrs. Peterson, afraid I'd fallen out of favor, tried to reason with me. "Miss Luna, Mr. Jiang is truly good to you. A man of his status, everyone treats him with the utmost respect. Anyone else who dared to talk to him like that would have been thrown out on the street long ago. But he can't even bring himself to scold you. When he's angry, he just leaves to cool off on his own. Why do you have to be so stubborn with him? Wouldn't it be better to just humor him a little? What if Chloe really does snatch him away one day? You'll regret it when it's too late." I hung my head, thinking glumly that Chloe didn't need to snatch Jayden away. She was so perfect, all she had to do was stand there, and he'd probably come running. Seeing me silent, Mrs. Peterson handed me a box of ibuprofen and continued, "Look, Mr. Jiang even remembered your period was coming up. He specifically reminded me that we were out of ibuprofen and told me to get some for you ahead of time. Staring at the orange box, my eyes suddenly welled up. I have a low tolerance for cold and a high hatred for medicine. My cramps used to be excruciatingly painful every month. After I got with Jaden, he would force me to take painkillers every time. If I refused, he'd threaten to add to the debt. I had no choice but to obey. For the past 2 years, I haven't had a single cramp. Thinking about it, Jaden really was good to me. But all that kindness was stolen from Chloe. The more I thought, the sadder I got. I buried my face in my blankets and cried silently. In the end, I didn't even need the ibuprofen. My usually punctual period just never came. And then, I found out I was pregnant. After thinking it over and over, I decided to tell Jaden. He was the father, after all. He had a right to know. But I called him 3 times in a row, and he never picked up. On the 4th try, a woman answered. Jaden's in the restroom. I'll have him call you back, okay? I recognized Chloe's voice and felt a wave of guilt. Without daring to say a word, I quickly hung up. I clutched my phone, stunned. Then, I pinched my thigh, hard. The pain snapped my muddled brain back to reality. I started cursing myself out. What the hell was I thinking? He's off having a romantic time with the one that got away, and I'm about to barge in with a fertilized egg? What kind of move is that? Besides, Jaden didn't like me. Why would he possibly want a baby I was carrying? Why should I bother him with this? A little while later, Jaden did call me back. I was too upset to answer and just declined the call. At the same time, a text popped up on my screen. Miss Luna, let's meet. It was from Jaden's mother. My heart dropped. To be honest, I was terrified of his mom. She hadn't liked me even before my family went bankrupt. We were new money, a stark contrast to the Jiang's old money, blue-blooded pedigree. After my dad went broke and I shamelessly climbed into her son's bed, she despised me even more. Her summoning me could not be good. At the tea house, Jaden's mother tossed a few photos onto the table. I looked down at the pictures of Jaden and Chloe, laughing and talking. A sharp pain lanced through my chest. His mother, perpetually condescending, looked at me with undisguised contempt. These are from the auction the other night, where Jaden and Chloe went together. Jaden also bought a sapphire worth $500 million as a birthday gift for her. As I understand it, you've spent 2 years with Jaden over 700 nights, and have barely paid off $50 million of your debt. Miss Luna, don't you feel cheap? She looked me up and down as if I were a piece of merchandise. On what grounds do you think you can compete with Chloe? Is it because you're good in bed? Honestly, I'd never thought of myself as cheap before. After all, a regular job might earn you $100,000 a year at most. A year with Jaden paid off $25 million in debt. What a great deal. But now, with Chloe as a comparison and his mother's scathing words, I suddenly realized I really wasn't in their league. A sour feeling filled my chest, and a tear slid down my cheek. Jaden's mother raised an eyebrow. The fact that you can cry from shame means you're not a completely lost cause. The Jiang and Qing families will be announcing the engagement next week. I don't want a stain like you near my son. She slid a plane ticket across the table. Leave tonight. And don't ever come back. As for the money you owe the Jiang family, we'll just consider it a charitable donation. Jaden's mother was right about one thing. If he was going to marry Chloe, I would go from his lover to his mistress. I would be a stain. If that was the case, it was better to just leave now. As for the baby, Jaden wouldn't want him. And I wasn't sure I could handle being a single mom. Letting him move on to his next life was the kindest option. As I left the tea house, my phone started ringing again. It was Jaden. I didn't answer. Right before I blocked his number, I received a text from him. Did my mom find you? Whatever she said, just ignore it, okay? I didn't understand. And I didn't want to waste any more energy trying to block, board, and get out. Unable to reach Luna, Jaden was deeply unsettled. His mother disliked her. She definitely wouldn't have had anything nice to say. He worried Luna was hurt and hiding somewhere, crying by herself. But he searched all her usual spots and found nothing. He frantically called her parents and friends. The answer was always the same: no one knew where she was. Jaden scowled, stubbing out his cigarette and yanking off his tie, but the tightness in his chest wouldn't ease. He kept telling himself it was okay, that Luna was just mad at him and would come back once she cooled down. But 3 days passed, and she still hadn't appeared. He was on edge, unable to eat. That feeling peaked when he discovered all of Luna's IDs and documents were gone. He didn't want to accept it, but he had to face the facts: she had left. He rushed home in a fury to confront his mother. "What the hell did you say to Luna?" His mother was trimming her flowers, her tone casual. "I just told her you were about to marry Chloe. And that if she had any self-respect, she would know to leave gracefully." Jaden's eyes turned red with anger. "Mom, are you insane? When did I ever say I was going to marry Chloe?" Her hands stilled. She shot her son a cold, serious look. "The Ching family is our social equal. Chloe is gentle and sensible, and being a violinist is a respectable profession. She was your first love. You two have history. She's the most suitable candidate to be Mrs. Jiang. If you don't choose Chloe, are you seriously thinking of marrying that little siren, Luna? A woman who sells her body for money? She climbed into your bed today. Who knows whose bed she'll climb into tomorrow? If you want to marry her, you'll have to wait until I'm dead." Jaden's voice rose sharply. "Luna would never." He took a deep breath, his voice firm. "I'll always have money, so she will only ever be with me. And another thing, Chloe and I aren't what you think. She has someone she loves. Please stop playing matchmaker." His stubbornness infuriated his mother. She swung her hand and slapped him hard across the face. "If you continue down this path, don't blame me for disowning you as my son." Jaden lowered his eyes, his expression blank as he took a step back. He said stubbornly, "Then take care of yourself. I won't be back to bother you anymore." His mother stared at her son in disbelief, her hand trembling by her side. "Are you really choosing to cut ties with me over a woman?" Jaden's expression didn't change. "You're the one forcing my hand. I have no other choice." No matter what it took, he would find Luna and bring her back. A small coastal town. After getting settled, I went to a clinic for an abortion. There was a definite sadness to it. I really did like Jaden. This child carried both of our blood. He or she would have been a very cute, very beautiful baby. I thought, a little wistfully, how wonderful it would be if Jaden loved me back. Then our little family of 3 could have lived happily together. But you can't force feelings. It wasn't his fault he didn't love me. What I needed to do was try my best to forget him and start a new life. After the procedure, I rested for about 2 weeks and was back to my energetic self. My diet had been too plain lately, and I had an intense craving, so I ate barbecue 3 days in a row. It satisfied the craving, but then I got a strange toothache. At first, I thought it was just from the rich food, but after 3 or 4 days of pain, I realized something was wrong and rushed to a dentist. I never expected to run into Ethan there. He froze when he saw me, then a smile curved his lips. His voice was as gentle as I remembered. "Long time no see. You actually became a dentist?" I asked, surprised. He nodded. "Yeah. I made you a promise. Of course I had to keep it." I was stunned. Sophomore year, Ethan and I had secretly dated for a few months. We rarely saw each other, afraid of being found out, so most of our communication was over the phone. One weekend, after a dentist appointment, I was sobbing on the phone with him. What am I going to do? I'm only 17, and I already have 5 root canals. They say the end of a root canal is an extraction. Am I going to be a gap-toothed old lady? He laughed helplessly, first reminding me to brush my teeth carefully after meals, then comforting me. Luna, don't be scared. I'll be your dentist. I promise I'll take perfect care of your teeth. You'll never be gap-toothed. The teenager's voice was clear, holding a magical power to soothe the heart. My tears instantly turned to laughter. A decade had passed in a flash. I never thought Ethan would actually keep his promise. I assumed he had long forgotten me, or if he did remember, it would only be with dislike. After all, my dad had been pretty awful to him back then. He thought Ethan was only dating me for money and said some nasty things to him. He even threatened Ethan's parents' jobs to force him to break up with me and transfer schools. A bitter tinge colored Ethan's smile. I knew I wasn't good enough for you, but I didn't want to break a promise I made to you. The truth is, Ethan's family wasn't poor at all. His parents both had stable government jobs. They weren't fabulously wealthy, but they were very respectable. It was just that my dad had a serious case of persecution complex back then and always thought people were after his money. After he went bankrupt, he didn't have that problem anymore. Not only did he have no money for people to be after, but he was $600 million in debt. I thought for a moment and said to Ethan, "Don't worry about what my dad said. He's just an uncultured brute. Besides, he went bankrupt a long time ago. Now he's no different from any other old guy. He doesn't have 2 cents to rub together and spends his days doing line dances in the park with my mom. You're way more successful than my dad is now, and way more successful than me. You're a dentist." A dentist, what a promising career. And Ethan was a very good one. The second root canal on my bad tooth was a complete success. The treatment took half a month, and getting the crown took another week. After the crown was fitted, I took him out to dinner to thank him. One thing led to another, and we started getting to know each other again. Since we lived close by, we'd often meet up for meals. Ethan was quite the foodie, and every restaurant he picked was more delicious than the last. After 2 months, I stepped on the scale and found I'd gained nearly 5 pounds. I was so depressed. "Why is it that we've been pigging out together, but you haven't gained an ounce?" Ethan chuckled. "I go to the gym 4 times a week. Want to come with me?" I quickly waved my hands. "No way. I'm useless at sports. I get winded just from jogging. I'll just eat less." "You're not fat," Ethan said, looking at me intently. "You'll always be the most beautiful." His gaze was so deep that I looked away, uncomfortable. But Ethan didn't give me a chance to escape. His expression turned serious. "Luna, I still really like you. Since you're single now, could you give me a chance?" Of course, I could have said yes. I could have used him to start a new relationship, to help me forget Jaden faster. But that wouldn't be fair to him, and my conscience wouldn't let me be that selfish. So, in the end, all I could say was, "I'm sorry." Ethan's disappointment was obvious, but he forced a smile. "It's okay. I'm not in a hurry. I'm willing to wait for you, for as long as it takes for that spot in your heart to open up." After dinner, Ethan walked me home. As we passed a convenience store, I suddenly stopped in my tracks. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked, confused. "See something?" I didn't even register what he'd said. My eyes were glued to the wall-mounted TV inside the store. The news was playing an interview with Jaden. I hadn't seen him in 3 months. He looked a bit thinner, his jawline even sharper. The interview was clearly wrapping up. The reporter switched to the topic the public was more interested in, his private life. "Mr. Jiang, we heard that you recently made waves at an auction, spending $500 million on a sapphire to celebrate Miss Chloe's birthday. Is that true?" "No." Jaden looked straight at the camera, his lips parting slightly. "That sapphire was meant to be an anniversary gift for the woman I love. Her last name is Liu." My fingers, hanging by my side, curled into a fist. My eyes widened in shock, and my heart hammered against my ribs. The reporter's gossip-hungry spirit was still burning. There have been widespread rumors that you and Miss Chloe are about to be engaged. Was that all false? Is Miss Lou the one you intend to marry? Jaden didn't deny it. That's right. Chloe and I are just friends. The person I love has only ever been her, and she's the only one I want to marry. I stood frozen, my mind reeling. I didn't understand why Jaden would deny his past with Chloe. Had they had a fight? Was he deliberately professing his love for me on camera to provoke her? But a small part of me hoped faintly, desperately, that what Jaden said was true, that I had misunderstood his relationship with Chloe all along. I suddenly remembered that the day after he went to the hospital to see Chloe, he had seemed to want to explain things to me. But I had cut him off, pushed him away with words I didn't mean. What if I had given him a chance to explain back then? If he really did love me, would our ending have been different? No. It wouldn't. His mother was still between us. She saw me as a thorn in her side, belittled me as worthless. She would never agree to let Jaden marry me. Even if Jaden and I loved each other, our lives would never be peaceful. So, it was better to just let it go. I closed my eyes, trying to calm my racing heart. I told myself not to dig any deeper into Jaden's feelings for me. Just let it all be in the past. It was better for both of us that way. But fate had other plans. About 2 weeks later, I was buying a roasted sweet potato from a street vendor outside my apartment complex. Just as I was about to scan the code to pay, someone suddenly grabbed my wrist. I looked up in shock and met Jaden's bloodshot eyes. His gaze fell to my flat stomach, his pupils trembling as he asked in a hoarse voice. "Luna, where's our baby? What did you do to him?" After a few seconds of shock, my reason took over. "Let me pay first. We can talk at home." The street wasn't the place for a private conversation. I didn't want an audience. "Okay." Jaden agreed but kept a tight grip on me, probably afraid I'd run off again. He didn't let go until we were inside my apartment. I shook my stiff wrist and said quietly, "As you can see, I got rid of the baby." "Why? How could you?" I wasn't sure if it was my imagination, but I thought I heard a sob in his choked voice. I laughed at myself. Does it matter? Being a single mom is hard. You know me, I'm high maintenance. I can't handle that kind of hardship. His eyes seemed to mist over, and he struggled to keep his voice from trembling. "Luna, I would never have let you raise a child alone. I told you not to believe my mom. Why didn't you listen? She was lying to you. I was never going to marry Chloe. The only person I've ever loved, from start to finish, is you." Jaden had been in love with Luna for a long time. He thought she was so cute. The way her cheeks puffed out when she ate steamed buns was cute. The way her ponytail swayed when she ran was cute. The way she'd prop her chin on her hand and sigh when she couldn't figure out a math problem was cute. Even the way she'd roll her eyes when she was being sarcastic, he found it cute. He wanted her, but she was still young, so he planned to wait until she was an adult to confess his feelings. Who would have thought she'd go and write a love letter to Ethan from the class next door? Puppy love was absolutely not okay. What if it affected her studies? So he decided to nip that budding romance in the bud. But seeing her cry while writing that apology essay, he couldn't bear it. In the end, he was the one who snatched the paper away and said, "Let me write it for you." That was truly the only bad thing he ever did to her. But Luna held a grudge against him ever since. Later, when she and Ethan were secretly dating, someone took a picture and sent it to her dad. Without a second thought, she blamed him. Even when Jaden swore, "It really wasn't me, may I be struck by lightning if I'm lying," she didn't believe him. She sobbed uncontrollably. "Ethan broke up with me. Are you happy now? You just can't stand to see me happy, can you? Jaden, you're so cruel. I hate you." The harder she cried, the more his heart ached. He desperately wanted to hold her. But the moment he reached out, she slapped his hand away. "Get out. Just get out. After that, she would turn and walk away the second she saw him, not even sparing him a glance. Jaden felt like his heart was being sawed apart by a dull knife, a persistent, unbearable pain. 5 years passed like that before their relationship thawed even slightly. He figured maybe enough time had passed for Luna to forget about that kid Ethan, which meant she no longer cared about his supposed tattling. So, the little flame in his heart rekindled. He knew Luna loved roses. He planted an entire rose garden and meticulously planned a grand confession. But before he could put his plan into action, Luna was in love again. She posted a photo with her boyfriend on her social feed. One look was all it took for Jaden's heart to turn to ice. The man's face and aura were so much like Ethan's it was a classic case of finding a stand-in. He thought in despair, she still can't forget Ethan after 5 years. Just how much does she love him? After that, she broke up and got together with new people, but every single boyfriend was a substitute for Ethan. Jaden knew with bitter certainty that he would never have her. And so, he resolved to bury his feelings for her completely. As for him and Chloe, they were a fake couple. At the time, Chloe was dating another woman and, afraid her family would find out, begged Jaden to help her cover for it. As for Jaden, he was tired of fending off the endless stream of women throwing themselves at him and figured having a respectable girlfriend as a shield might reduce some of the drama. So, the two of them made a pact. The arrangement ended naturally when Chloe and her girlfriend broke up and she moved abroad. By then, Jaden hadn't thought about Luna in a long time. For a long while, he actively avoided any place she might be. He thought that if he didn't see her, didn't think about her, he could stop loving her. But as it turned out, he couldn't do it. When the Liu family went bankrupt, he couldn't just stand by and watch. That day, seeing her dangling from a rooftop by creditors, seeing her cry and beg them to let her go, he wanted to kill someone for the first time in his life. And he did get into a fight, beating the men who had bullied her to a pulp. When he carried her down from the roof, she was trembling all over like a frightened animal. She grabbed his sleeve like a lifeline, her eyes red as she whispered, "Jaden, I'm scared. Can I go home with you?" In his eyes, Luna was the moon in the sky, beautiful and untouchable. She was meant to be arrogant, wild, and free. Not this pitiful, broken version of herself. His heart ached for her. So he decided to be her rock, to give her the capital to continue being as willful as she pleased. He bought her freedom for $600 million and took her home, but he didn't dare confess his love. Because he knew Luna's heart still belonged to Ethan. She was only nice to him because she needed protection. But that was okay. He didn't care. He thought, there's so much time ahead. I'll slowly melt her heart, and then I'll properly confess. He waited for 2 years. That night, Jaden's mother had the housekeeper call him, claiming she'd been in a car accident and was in the hospital. He rushed over, only to find that his mother's injury was a lie. The person in the hospital was Chloe. His mother was trying to set him and Chloe up to get back together, tricking him into coming to the hospital so he could make a move. Chloe was just as baffled. The two of them, completely exasperated, sat together complaining about their parents' bizarre antics. Unfortunately, Mandy had taken a picture and sent it to Luna with a fabricated story. When the housekeeper told Jaden that Luna was jealous, he felt a small flicker of joy. But that joy was shattered minutes later when she declared, "I only like Ethan." Another knife twisted in Jaden's already scarred heart. 2 years. He had practically worshipped her. And he still hadn't made his way into her heart. Jaden felt defeated. He even started to doubt himself. Was he really that terrible? Why couldn't Luna spare him even a tiny bit of her love? Everything Jaden described left me in shock. So, I wasn't a substitute. I sat there in a daze, half believing, half doubting. If you don't like Chloe, why were you so eager to hand her an orange? Jaden explained, Chloe wanted an orange, and the oranges were right next to me, so I handed one to her. What's that supposed to mean? When you eat an orange, don't I always peel it for you, remove all the white pith, and then feed it to you piece by piece? If you just compare the two, you'll see. With Chloe, it was just politeness. With you, it's true love. Okay. Even if I overthought that part. Then what about her answering your phone? And why were you two at the auction together? For these two questions, Jayden had Chloe herself explain it to me. When the video call connected, Chloe and her new girlfriend appeared on screen together. Chloe looked apologetic. I invited Jayden to dinner that day to introduce him to my girlfriend. I was hoping he could give a project from his company to her studio. You called several times in a row, and I was worried it was an emergency, so I answered for him. Luna, I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking, and I caused a misunderstanding. I also went to the auction with my girlfriend. We just happened to run into Jayden and chatted for a bit. He bought that sapphire for you. It has nothing to do with me. There's really nothing between Jayden and me. He's loved you for years. His heart only has room for you, no one else can get in. As Chloe spoke, her girlfriend watched her with a tender gaze. The moment Chloe finished, she immediately handed her a thermos. Here, have some water to soothe your throat. Chloe smiled, took her girlfriend's hand, and kissed her fingers. Thanks. Their interaction was sweet and natural. Even I wasn't dumb enough to miss that they were truly in love. So, Jayden wasn't lying. There was nothing between him and Chloe. After hanging up, Jayden asked me nervously, "Do you believe me now that my heart belongs only to you?" The force of the truth was immense. My heart was pounding. On one hand, I was happy that the person I loved felt the same way about me. On the other hand, the roadblock of his mother still stood between us, making the future seem dark. I forced a smile. I believe you. He let out a breath of relief. I'm sorry. I didn't handle things with my mom properly, and it caused you so much pain. You must have been so scared, lying on that operating table all alone. It won't happen again. I've already cut ties with my mom. I won't let her bully you anymore. I never thought Jayden would go that far for me. Cutting ties with your own mother, that takes so much courage. He gazed at me with deep affection. Luna, now that you know how I feel, please come home with me, okay? I'll cherish you and protect you. I'll never let you get hurt again. He was so sincere it would be a lie to say my heart wasn't moved. I wanted so badly to tell him that I loved him too. But the words died in my throat. His mother hated me so much she was willing to invent lies to drive me away. Who knows what other dirty tricks she might pull in the future. Today, Jayden was willing to cut ties with her for my sake, but what if he regretted it later? What if he turned on me then, blaming me for ruining his relationship with his mother? I was a coward. I didn't dare take that gamble. Jayden, I'm not going back. His voice was hoarse. Why? Just as I was about to speak, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find a smiling Ethan. You said last time that the durian I picked was especially creamy, so I picked another one for you today. Seeing him, Jayden tensed up completely, his trembling voice betraying his anxiety. Luna, the reason you won't come back with me, is it because you're with Ethan? Ethan answered honestly. We're not together yet. I'm still pursuing Luna. But that did nothing to ease Jayden's expression. His sense of crisis was overwhelming. He was terrified of losing me. The corners of his eyes were red as he begged me in a low voice, Luna, don't say yes to him, please. I had no intention of getting together with Ethan and had already told him I had someone else in my heart. It was Ethan who was too persistent, unwilling to give up easily. But I wasn't about to tell Jayden that. Using Ethan to make him back off seemed like a good idea. Jayden, you have no right to tell me what to do. Ethan and I were each other's first love. We know each other inside and out, and our personalities match. It would be perfectly normal for us to get back together. In an instant, the color drained from Jayden's face. He let his hand fall away, defeated. I had wanted to push him away, but seeing the look of utter devastation on his face, my own chest tightened. Why are people so contradictory? Late that night, Jayden returned. He reeked of alcohol, his eyes full of despair. Luna, I really can't let you go. Please don't be with Ethan. I'm begging you. His pleas fell on my ears, and my heart clenched. Seeing him so heartbroken and utterly shattered, my own throat felt tight, and it was hard to breathe. But what could I do? I could never become the daughter-in-law his mother wanted. All I could do was be cruel. Jaden, go. Stop coming to find me. I turned to go back inside, but he wrapped his arms around me from behind. I tried to struggle, but when his hot tears fell on my shoulder, I gave up. It was the first time I had ever seen Jaden cry. He had been in a car accident once, a sharp object piercing his right leg. He almost bled out, but he never shed a single tear. But now, he was crying so brokenly. I froze, not knowing what to do. He choked out his pleas. Luna, why can't you just turn around and look at me? Can't you feel how much I love you? I mumbled, I always thought you were just using me as a substitute. That's why you were so good to me. He had so many tears my pajamas were soaked. It's only ever been you, Luna. You're one of a kind. Past, present, and future, I only love you. His tone was like that of an abandoned puppy. I'm begging you, please don't push me away again. Have pity on me. Just give me a little bit of love, that's all I ask. I'm really not greedy. The proud, admired Jaden, a man so many looked up to, was now humbling himself to the dust just to beg for a scrap of my affection. I couldn't remain unmoved. The locked doors of my heart were slowly being pried open by him. He sounded so wronged, sobbing, I don't understand. What does Ethan have that I don't? Why do you have to love him so much, to the point where you'd even look for his stand-ins? I froze, confused how the substitute drama was now about me. What stand-ins? He rattled off a list of names like he was ordering from a menu: Zach, Caleb, Leo, Kevin, Theo. Honestly, if Jaden hadn't reminded me, I wouldn't have even remembered the names of those ex-boyfriends. I went through a phase where I was bored, dating handsome guys just to pass the time and have something nice to look at. We never did anything too intimate, just dinner and a movie. None of the relationships lasted long. After we broke up for one trivial reason or another, I never thought about them again. I tried to recall what they looked like and said helplessly, is it possible that I dated them simply because I like a certain type of guy? I stopped loving Ethan a long time ago. Why would I look for his substitute? I had only meant to clear up the substitute misunderstanding. It was only after I'd blurted out stopped loving Ethan a long time ago that I realized I'd let it slip. Jaden, of course, seized on the main point. So you weren't refusing to come back with me because of Ethan? Then what was it? Maybe it was his tears that softened my heart. Maybe it was the fierce sincerity of his love. I couldn't keep lying to him. I wanted to give us another chance. So I told him the truth. Your mother hates me. Today, because you love me, you can cut ties with her for my sake. But what if, in the future, you stop loving me? What if you regret it and team up with her to bully me? What am I supposed to do then? Jaden blurted out, I won't. I will never stop loving you, and I will never, ever hurt you. I gave a bitter smile. Just say I'm a coward. That I have no sense of security. Jaden didn't try to argue anymore. He knew that verbal promises were hard to fully trust. So, a week later, he came to me with a share transfer agreement. You're worried that love can change, but money is constant. I'm transferring 5% of my company's shares to you. No matter what happens in the future, you'll have your own financial security. Does that help you feel more secure? Over $5 billion, just given away like that. My hand trembled. Are you out of your mind? He smiled. Giving it to you isn't being crazy. It's a token of my sincerity. He took a step closer, his voice coaxing. If you marry me, half of everything I own will be yours. Any interest? I blinked. Well, we'll see how you behave. A flash of joy lit up his eyes, and he pulled me into a hug. "Luna, thank you." I pushed him slightly. "Don't get too excited. I haven't agreed to take you back yet. If you don't pass my probation, I can kick you to the curb at any time." "I'll work hard," he promised. "I will not let you down." With Jaden around, he basically did all the cooking. He made chicken soup for me for 2 weeks straight, insisting on helping my body recover. I thought it was a bit over the top. The abortion was 4 months ago. Isn't it a little late to be recovering now? Jaden's face fell into that familiar look of remorse and guilt. "I'm sorry, Luna. I'm the one who made you suffer. If I had told you the truth sooner, you wouldn't have had to go through with the procedure, hurting your body and your heart." It wasn't entirely his fault. I didn't exactly speak up either. If I had just asked him sooner how he really felt about me, everything would have been different. I smiled, letting it go. "All right, let's not dwell on the past. Now go do the dishes." Back in the city, the housekeeper always did the dishes after meals. Now, all the chores fell on him. Mainly because I'm lazy and hate housework. Luckily, Jaden didn't mind at all. "You just rest," he said dotingly. "Leave all the housework to me." After dinner, we would walk along the beach together. When I got tired, he would carry me home on his back. After we washed up for the night, he would dutifully go to sleep in the guest room. He was actually a very passionate man. For him to remain celibate for so long was truly a feat. I gave him a thumbs up. "Good self-control. Keep it up." He suddenly put on a pitiful expression. "A gun needs to be polished. If it's not used for a long time, it'll get rusty. Can my probation period be shortened a little?" I rolled my eyes. This guy, you just can't praise him. 2 months flew by. One day, I got an unexpected call from Mandy. Her usual arrogance was gone, replaced by a desperate, pleading tone. "Luna, please, I'm begging you. Can you ask Jaden to lay off? Just let me go, okay?" That's when I found out that because Mandy had sent me those abusive texts, Jaden had retaliated by sabotaging several of her family's business deals. Mandy's father had sent her to the countryside to feed pigs, and she was living a miserable life. TSK. That's my man. His actions were deeply satisfying. I smiled and said, word by word, "Mandy, you had it coming." I hung up. Then I turned and kissed Jaden on the cheek. "That was beautifully done. A reward for you." Jaden pushed his luck, his voice turning husky. "Can I get a little more of a reward?" I hummed. "Depends on your performance." Jaden raised an eyebrow and showed me a video his assistant had sent. In the video, a disheveled Mandy was being chased by several pigs. Finally, she lost her footing and fell into a foul-smelling ditch. Covered in mud, she was a complete wreck, screaming hysterically. She looked like a madwoman. Not a trace of the poised socialite she used to be remained. Jaden turned off the screen. "Is that sincere enough?" I burst out laughing. "Enough." His eyes darkened, and he leaned in to kiss me. It was gentle and lingering. His tongue slipped past my lips. Entwining. He pushed me down onto the sofa. When a button on my shirt went flying, I pushed him playfully. "Are you the king of destruction?" He kissed the spot just below my collarbone, his voice muffled. "I'll buy you 10 more tomorrow." His fingers roamed everywhere, and I quickly lost myself in the moment, letting him have his way with me. After getting back together with Jaden, we prepared to return to the city. After all, he had a huge company to manage, and spending 4 months here with me was already pushing it. On the day we left, I saw Ethan again. He gave a bitter smile. "So you really did get back together with him?" He handed me a container of peeled durian. "Here, take this to eat on the plane." For the person I had genuinely loved in my youth, I had only blessings. "Ethan, I hope you find someone you love who loves you back soon." He still clung to a sliver of hope. "If Jaden doesn't treat you well, Will you come find me? I'll wait for you. Before I could say anything, Jaden wrapped an arm around me, glaring at Ethan. Don't even think about it, kid. What you're worried about will never happen. Luna and I will be happy together for the rest of our lives. With that, he led me to the car. In the rearview mirror, Ethan's figure grew smaller and smaller, but he remained standing in the same spot, unmoving. Jaden, consumed with jealousy, deliberately covered my eyes. Don't look at him anymore. I burst out laughing, prying his hand away. Can you stop being so jealous? All those boyfriends you had were his type. What if he tempts you again? What am I supposed to do then? I could tell from Jaden's tone that this wasn't a joke, he was genuinely worried. Come to think of it, Ethan was gentle and warm, while Jaden was rebellious and untamed, two complete opposites. It wasn't surprising that he was worried. I linked my arm through his, rubbing my cheek against his affectionately. Jaden, even though you're not my usual type, I still fell in love with you. That just proves my feelings for you go beyond all my principles and standards. They're so strong they can't be hidden. You should be happy about that. My words hit the mark. A smile finally spread across his face, and he lifted his chin proudly. You're right. We're the ones who are meant to be. As he spoke, he took a ring out of his pocket and slid it onto my finger. I recognized that it was made from that sapphire. A $500 million gem. Of course it was breathtakingly beautiful. I smiled. So you wanted to marry me even back then? But he shook his head. No. From the very first day I fell for you, I wanted to make you my wife. To have someone love me for this long, wait for me for this long, and protect me for this long. How lucky I was.